And you guys all delivered an amazing race for me at home to watch and go, thank goodness I don't have to be at the top stressing about how much rain has come down this track, because you heard it from all the riders. They were like, yeah, I saw it in my mechanic's eyes that it was really raining, because I couldn't quite tell from inside the tent. So I know that feeling. That feeling is it's really tough. But what it does is it lets the cream rise to the top of like, okay, we got to get on with this. What can we control? What can we do? And it's just amazing to see the speed, the sheer speed that all those riders, everyone that competed in varying conditions, were able to deliver, to predict, to look ahead, to guess, to go, it's going to be wet. I don't know. That's probably a section that I should be more cautious. And there were riders that probably, it seemed like a little bit, it was 50-50. Sometimes I go, oh, was it the inexperience that the guy pushed in that section? Or was he just unlucky,
Yeah. There's so many things around this. And like you were saying, in terms of didn't realize how bad the weather was, I was talking to Oisin afterwards, and he was saying that he had his headphones on. He was listening to his music in the warm-up tent at the top. And we got obviously he had feedback from how wet the track was and his phone was pinging off. So he was understanding the conditions. And they were saying it's raining quite heavy down here. But he's listening to his music. So he's in the zone warming up. And apparently he said he finished his warm-up, he took his headphones off, and all he could hear was the rain banging on the top of the tent. So he was like, right, okay, it really is raining. But normally we'd expect, and you'll have seen this at Fort William, you've got a warm-up area, and then before the start hut, there's another sort of tented off area so you can be in the dry waiting for your run. We didn't have that here. So using Oisin as this example, he comes out at the warm-up tent and he's standing there, and his mechanic's trying to keep him dry. They're maybe trying to change tires. And a lot of the riders were saying they sort of came out into this no man's land, absolutely soaking wet before they even got into the start hut. And the top of the track went from being very, very hard and fast. And then the rain started to come down and it formed that slick surface, that's just like grease.
Yes.
And
I had that in my notes. Like, there's so much icy conditions in between.
Yeah, so many ice. And I'd say, if I'm honest, Tane, the only positive that's in my view with these conditions was it was pretty much fair for everyone apart from for Tane. So I feel for Tane.
I saw that she got absolutely hosed.
Yeah. She had the worst of it, and her race was a write-off, poor girl. She didn't have a chance to fight because the girls have really consistent conditions, and then it absolutely started to hammer down, and that was it. She was in the worst of it on the ice. But she was really, I don't know if it's magnanimous, I can't forget the word. She was really gracious in that situation, because she said to me at the bottom that she suffered in those conditions, but then she got lucky the day before with the reruns. Because the girls, there was a red flag on the track, Cami had crashed, and there was 9 girls that got a chance to rerun. And it's, again, due to the decision of the organisers, they decided to put those reruns right at the end of the day. So you had a wet track in the morning that the girls were riding on, and the reruns all happened in the bone dry. And it was that was very unfair. A lot of girls really suffered because the track was completely different. So Millie missed out, Gracie missed out, I think Jess Blewett missed out, quite a few, and that was a real shame. And I think it was good of Tane to almost acknowledge that these conditions play into someone's hands and you win, and then they play into someone's hands and you lose, and that was a real shame. But to see the men's race follows almost immediately from the women's, and by that point Charlie was the first man down and he was absolutely covered. And then Greg was down, he was absolutely covered. And then you're like, you know what, we're in a fair fight here. No one can put an asterisk by the winner and go, hey, he got better conditions. It varied. So it was exciting for the men's. And Coulanges' run was, you could just straight away, you're like, I can't see anyone beat.
No, that was impressive. If I can put just a pause on that. So yes, Tani got absolutely the worst of it all. And that's really, there's so many good sportsmanship stories from this race as well. Like everyone in it together. Like you brought up the military, like it is like going to war. It feels that traumatic when you got to deal with all these changing conditions. And yes, it's just a bike race, but it's your livelihood. It's all you know. And so yeah, there was the challenge of the rerun. So that's really good that she made everyone aware, even though from what I could see in the videos, she was riding at an incredible pace. Like she's got her confidence back.
Yeah,
To
absolutely.
me, those conditions are like, and it'll bleed into Benoît, is like they're like Leger, Morzine, Plenty, Steeps, the illegals.
Yeah.
And that was awesome to see. But maybe we break it down. The reason it's so icy, we call it slippery. Like if you ever put water on a hard surface, there's no grip. So that track, when it bakes in the sun, gets a lot of hard surfaces. Then the rain comes on top of it, super, super greasy. Then after more and more riders do the hard work of cutting it in, then it's rideable again.
Yeah.
So Tane could not get down that hill. You could barely see rain at the top, but then at the bottom, as you said, with Ocean, is like, yes, it was raining at the top, but it was really raining at the bottom.
Yeah.
So as you progressed down the track, it got even worse. So I was like, what's going on? Like, is she riding tight? And I'm like, nope, that's an ice rink.
Yeah.
And then you could start seeing the water droplets in the camera, but only further down. But as you said, by the time Charlie came down, what a run. Like, you don't know what on earth the track's going to be like. There were just puddles everywhere. Gwyn said he's never had wetter shoes in his life because there was all the puddles before the jumps. So now you're spraying that all up into your goggles. And that's if you had dry goggles before the start. Like, if anyone's ever ridden in the rain, they know what happens with, obviously, water on the goggles. But tear-offs, if you get water between the tear-off pack and your lens, doesn't matter how many tear-offs you go for or roll-offs. Yeah. If you have a bad system, I think he pulled goggles off, I think. So, geez, there's so many variables. And, yeah, you feel for Tani. But, Myriam, you can't take anything away from her. I mean, that is an inspired ride as well, which I think she didn't even expect.
I was really excited.
But it makes sense.
That.
This is like her type of track, right? The technical, the difficult, the gnarly, but doing it in front of the French fans, that's a lot of pressure. And yeah, I mean, I'm just so happy for her. I mean, for so many of these riders that have bounced back into the podium circle or the winner's circle.
It was really good. It was lovely to see Myriam put in a really good run. She'd been riding really well all week. And there was a few girls that were standing out in the wet as being composed and sort of carry momentum. On a wet track, especially in practice, we saw this. There's a lot of people that can carry speed on the straight, but it's hard to carry speed through a corner. And you need to be well balanced. You need to get your braking correct. And if you get your braking correct, you can carry exit speed. So it's not really about the entry speed into a section. It's about the exit speed and carrying that momentum. And you could see she was looking really good. Obviously, Valley was looking really good as well. And Gracie was looking really good in the wet. And so you could see there were some girls that were going to do well. But as the track dried, Myriam was able to push on again. And I think Valley looked very frustrated with her run. She crossed the line and there was sort of no acknowledgement that was a half decent run. So I think she's probably very frustrated. But Myriam took advantage of that. She put in a really good run and she won. And it's lovely to see. For me, that's the sort of culmination of the return, because last year she came to this race as a spectator. She came, I think, with her psychologist, and it was part of the recovery process was to get back to a race and to sort of go through what it's like being at a race. And I remember vividly having a conversation with her by the start hut in the blazing sun, and she was sat next to a girl that I hadn't realized I think was her psychologist. And so if you fast forward 12 months, it must be very rewarding for her to have gone through a 12-month progressive process and then find herself on the top step of the podium. So hats off to her and her team. That Commons Hell team do a fantastic job. They've got a great support network. And, to see her and Amory come that full circle from big injury to success is lovely. And I think everyone on that team should have a big pat on the back.